In this week's episode, I'm going to give you the tips and tricks to buying the best ham for your money, but also how to get the most flavor out of it. And what are we going to put on it? The most important thing ever, the glaze. Yeah, you heard me right. A good whiskey-based caramelized coating that's got some sweetness to it. And you better come on, because all the kinfolk's going to beat you to it. Hey, thank y'all for stopping by for a little cowboy cooking it is. And what in this episode? It is our Christmas special. You heard me right. Ho, 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 jingle bells, deck the halls. And what are we going to cook? Hey, it's graced our table, and I'm sure it's gracing y'all's too. What is it? A big old ham. You say you ain't got no smoker? Well, I guarantee you down there in the little description below on the link where it says click for printable recipe, we're going to have you the indoor conversion to where you can do this too. So let's talk about this ham. Where does it come from? Now, a lot of people are already going to say it comes from a pig. Well, that it does. But where at? Do y'all know where it's at? Hey, it is the back part of that ham bone that comes off there on that leg. Come here, Big, and let's show these people. And the Big is a good specimen. Is a ham right down here. They cut that bone off there, separate it up here, cut that bone off, and you have, what is it called? A bone-in ham. Big, thank you so much for helping the viewers out. But let's go up to that meat counter and let's look, and the first one I see in there is a fresh ham. Now, sure, they're all what you call good meat, but a fresh ham is something that hasn't been cured, hasn't been cooked, hadn't had nothing done to it. So let's set him aside and let's go on down here and let's look at what we're calling a bone-in cured ham. Now, a bone-in cured ham has got the bone just like the whole bone-in fresh ham, but this has been seasoned and dried like in a smokehouse or cured out a little to where it's been fully cooked. Now let's move right on down the line, and right beside that one, there is a cooked and smoked ham. And guess what, folks? That's what we got today. Now, after you leave the cooked and smoked cured ham, there is also the little spiral cut hams. Now, them are good. I've eaten a lot of them. But folks, when you can buy a full bone-in ham or even a half of a ham that's bone-in, you get so much flavor. Now, these are just smoked lightly, and most of them are with hickory smoke. You ain't going to smell that smoke flavor on them when you get them. That's why when I cook it, I can enhance that flavor so much more by giving it some more smoke, cooking it good and slow in a smoker, and bringing all them flavors together. Now, when you buy big old hams, make sure that I'm not saying water injected or water added, because you're paying for that weight. Now, you want to make sure that you take that ham out of the ice box or refrigerator, as some of y'all might want to call it, and let it come to room temperature. Let's get it out about an hour ahead of time. Just let it sit out there on the counter. Don't put it down beagle level or you won't have no ham when you come back, but it needs to warm up before we ever go to the smoker. Now, when you turn this thing around there and you look at it around there, I want you to see that shank end, that bone end closest to the hock down there. You want to make sure that that thing looks clean and white. It is just as pretty as it can be. You don't want one that's all brown and all discolored and everything, because it's probably been a little old, or maybe it's had way too much smoke in the beginning. I want to season this thing lightly in some flavors that I know will enhance and bring out more flavor. So let's mix us up a rub that we can put on there, and we're just going to lightly coat it because I don't want to overcoat it. So we're going to take us a little old mixing bowl, and first going to start out with 3/4 cups of light brown sugar. Put it all in there. Add 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, and 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. Mix it really well, whether you use your hands or a whisk, but you want to make sure that all that brown sugar is not clumped together, so it's really better to you mix it with your hands and get it all incorporated well. So we got this ham laying out there on this baking sheet. We laid him down there. We're going to get us some seasoning and coat it really well everywhere. Make sure when you got some of them rolls of fat that are overlapping, you get it down in the seams everywhere, top, bottom, on the end of that old shank, both ends, turn it over. Make sure it is coated well. All right, now take that ham, and he's not laid flat out. We're going to sort of stand him up sideways where he's taller. Go down there to the shank end there, that bone end that's sticking out, and let's take that hook and hook it in there deep to where that hook is on this side, just like showing. Come to the other end, try to stay the same height as you go down the ham. Hook this one in the same spot, but that hook is pointing this away. So that way when they're hanging, they're on opposite sides. One on one end, one on the other, but opposite sides of the rebar. Now today I'm going to do it in this pit barrel smoker. Now if you just got a regular old box smoker or a drum smoker, something like that, hey, just set it in there on that rack. But get them coals and everything started ahead of time. We want to preheat this deal to around 250 before we ever even think about taking that ham and putting him in there. Now, what's the most important part of when we're smoking something? Hey, it is the wood. And you can't be scrimping on it. You got to have good quality stuff. Now today, I am using a mixture of oak and mesquite, half and half. I like the flavors that they blend together well. They give sort of a nice subtle smoke together. But something that gives great flavor to a leg of hog, what is that? The big nose. It is fruit wood. Yeah, and I do love to use some apple wood. Put about 10 good sized chunks in there to where that could just come up and that smoke could wrap all the way around that ham and just love on it. You can use cherry, you could use a peach, you could use apricot. Fruit is so good when it's paired with another wood for pork. We're going to try to run around 250, 225 to 250, stay in that time zone right there if we can. Now, you know these pit barrel cookers, and they've always told you, and I have too, they've got that little vent over here on the side, and it rolls around there wherever you might need it. Now, we usually cook with it closed all the time, but that's back in the summertime when it was maybe 95 to 105. So keep an eye on that temp gauge. You may have to regulate your airflow. I don't care what kind of smoker you got, you may have to choke it down or let it have more flow to where you can get oxygen in there to have more fuel to that fire to raise the temperature in colder weather. So folks, in a conventional oven, you would cook this 15 to 20 minutes a pound on 17-pound ham. That's at 344. That's divided by 60. That's about 4 hours it is in Oklahoma. So we're going to try to run 225 to 250, and we're going to check this in about 3.5 hours. We want that internal temp to be 130 to 135, and then we're going to pull it off there, and we're going to do something spectacular to it. You'll want to see it. It is a work of art. Checked it at an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and the temp was about 95 to 100. We wanted to just see how things would progress, and the inside temperature of the smoker was running about 235, so that was right where we needed to be. Now, I just got through checking it again. We're about 125, 126, so we're 15 to 20 minutes out on this, so we need to go ahead and put this glaze together, and I hope y'all will join me over here at the fire. You don't want to miss this one, because I'm sort of wanting a Crown and Coke right now. Well, we need to get this glaze started, and I got me a little saucepan and got me a fire. So let's start with 1/2 of a stick of butter. Let it get in there and get it to melting. I told y'all I was wanting a Crown and Coke. About 1/4 of a cup, which is about that much. Reckon about 6 ounces of Coca-Cola, which is about 1/2 a can, which is pretty close to that right there. Into that, we're gonna add some honey. About 1/3 of a cup. So now we're going to put some brown sugar, and some cloves. You remember how you seen all them cloves that was sticking in them little hams, and they was just put in there by little sprigs in every hole? That's too much work. Let's put cloves right in the glazing itself. So we're just going to bring that back to a boil, and then we're going to slide it off over here just to keep it warm while we check on that ham to make sure things are ready. Whoo-wee, don't that hog look pretty? We checked it, folks, was about 130. That's sort of where I wanted to be, between 130 and 135. We brought it off there, got it off our little pit barrel. Went ahead and put the rack back in there, the grill grate, set it there. Now we're going to take this and we're going to take this knife and score it a 1/2 inch deep, about 1 inch apart, diagonally, and then come back across it, a cross section the other way. The reasoning for that, it's not that we're branding it and putting my name on it, it's so that glaze can seep down in there. If you was doing this in the conventional oven and you've been going at 325, I need you while you're scoring this ham to go ahead and hit the broiler button, because you're going to need that, because it's going to be different what you're doing than what I'm doing out here on this smoker. Because you're just going to baste it really good to put it in there in the broiler, let it go about 5 or 8 minutes, and then you're going to baste it again, let it go 2 or 3 more, pull it out of there, let it sit for just a little bit with some foil on it, let it cool. But over here, I ain't got no broiler, so we're going to put it on the grill. That's hot too. We're going to let that smoke get in there. You see these here drippings that come out of that ham? There ain't no sense in wasting them. I want that to heat back up really well. Now we're going to let it cook right here for about 10 minutes just to warm back up, and then we're going to give it its first coat of glazing. Then we're going to let it go about 5 more minutes, and then we're going to give it some magic. Well, we've been on about 10, we have. You can see how when that heat hits that, it sort of makes it spread apart even a little more. Let's get some of this down in there to where it can go to loving on that. Back the lid goes on, we'll give it about 5 and then we'll do her again. After that 5 minutes, let's just glaze it again, put that lid back on there, then we'll glaze it one more time after that, and we get oh so close. Well, we have glazed it twice, 5 minutes apart. It has been another 5, so this is the time you'd be basting it in the broiler for the last time, but I ain't got no broiler out here. I really don't know what we're gonna do, but we're gonna glaze it again. In fact, let's just give it a pretty good bath. I did find a broiler, so let's give it a broiling. You see me, I found me a broiler burner torch. I did. Ooh, it's a handy tool. We let her go there till we got her good and coated, and you can see how that skin pulled and them diamonds evened open some more. We're gonna give it the last of the bath. We're gonna torch it one more time. So you can carve a ham any way you like. I mean, this is some of the best part of it, ain't it, B? It's just getting that first little bite to come off there. And I'm going to take this end right off this bone because I want to see, just to see, would you, hey, no, sit down. See that juice run out of there? Now don't be throwing them bark pieces away. Whew, I really like to eat that bark. Well, y'all can see my help is really enthused about this deal. And Christmas is about giving. So let's see how many tail wags we might get for this deal. How many tail wags? How many? Whew, I mean, they are going good, they are. Got that good glaze in there that's compounded over it and caramelized good from that torch. Oh my gosh, Shan, you know what's happening?
Oh no.
This'll make you want to jump up on the house like Santa Claus up on the rooftop. Click, click, click. I hear old Santa bringing ham and he's got a sharp stick to cut it with, so it's gonna be good. Folks, the flavors you get out of this ham anyway, getting it twice smoked, is so good. That apple wood is really consistent, and got us a little smoke ring going in here. Even penetrated that old hog hide, it did. This is not just a thick glaze that you put on a piece of ham and then it just caramelizes. This sets in there and it soaks through them diamonds after you score it. And the clove and that whiskey and everything, it is just what you call great flavor in there. As always, and it is an honor that I do it, I tip my hat to all our servicemen and women and all our veterans who have served this old country and keep it safe and that old flag a flying. For all of y'all who are serving abroad or even in the States, or you're away from your family or your spouse or some of your loved ones, know that We are blessing you folks. We are praying for you folks to be safe across the country, and we thank you so much. So we hope you enjoyed this. This is such a great, it's just a classic recipe that's been around and graced our table for many years. We hope that you enjoy it. And remember, Christmas is about giving and sharing. So that's what I ask you to do. Bring families together. Even if you don't know a stranger, invite him into your house and let's feed them and let's have the Christmas spirit, not only just through this holiday season, but all throughout the year. So we hope you learned something, because we did. Hey, it's about sharing with the puppies or they'll bite you. They will. We ask you to share it, like it, and subscribe. Let's share the videos and the food with all the world. It's going to make it a great place. As Mr. Rogers says, we all need to be better neighbors, so come on in here for a Christmas hug and let's have it. Thank you again. God bless you each and every one, and I'll see you down the twice smoked glazed ham trail.